Uh, Shoot.
All right, y'all. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to another live stream. And I got this man to my right here, Jay. More reviews on here tonight. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's up? What's up, man? How you doing?
All right, thanks for joining me. We're here to do the series recap of The Last Dance, the 10-part documentary about the Chicago Bulls 97-98 season where they ultimately won their sixth and final championship in the Jordan, Pippen, Phil Jackson era. Then Jay here is from Chicago, diehard Bulls fan, down in Indy right now, Pacer territory, and I'm sure I'm sure the Pacer fans be messing with him when he has his Bulls gear on when he's out and about.
Nah, they ain't worried about it. I was actually at the Pacers game in the playoffs when they played the Bulls with Derrick Rose. Put them out the playoffs. That was Derrick Rose MVP year when the Bulls went to the Eastern Conference Championship, but lost to the Heat.
Right.
But I was there rocking my Bulls jersey and everything. They was trying to hate, but they wasn't about to do nothing. They ain't want none of that heat. Yeah,
Man, speaking of that, I just wanted to go to the Pacers arena for a game.
it's all right. Ain't nothing to write home about.
Oh, that's
Um,
cold.
I always like the United Center, and
Yeah, I definitely want to go there for a game too.
yeah, I got memories of Chicago Stadium and the United Center. See, Chicago Stadium is where the Bulls played for the first three, and the
Right,
United Center is where they won the next three. One thing that
right.
Jordan was saying is that when he retired, at least my last game is in the Chicago Stadium. And remember when he retired, I don't know if you remember or not, when they hung his jersey up, they cut out the center of the Chicago Stadium floor. It's a Bulls head, and they gave it to him to put into his trophy room. And so in his house, and the floor of the trophy room is the Bulls head from the old Chicago Stadium.
Oh yeah, I did. Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Now
Yeah,
that
yeah. In his books, I got his books over here. In his trophy room, he got the picture. He got it in there professionally installed. When you go in there, you walking on the old Chicago Stadium where he won the first three championships. It's tight.
oh, now that's pretty interesting. But
Yeah,
man, this Last Dance documentary, everybody, been watching these last all these 10 parts, having that nostalgia, whether you a Jordan fan or diehard Chicago Bulls fan, or you just love that 90s basketball. As we all know, it was supposed to come on in June, but they decided to bump it up due to the fact that, the NBA shut down for the rest of the season. So, what were your thoughts on the documentary, Jay? I know watching that brought back a lot of memories for you.
oh yeah, man. It was getting me excited. It make me just want to go play. 2K outside something. It just get me excited, hyped up. I love hearing Jordan when he talking, just like when they was showing him the clip of Reggie Miller and Reggie Miller was trying to come at him and Jordan fight. I remember when that happened. Like it was yesterday watching that game. But it was
Oh yeah,
funny.
when Jordan scratched Reggie Miller.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was funny hearing it from Jordan perspective though, because we never heard Jordan talk about it. And he was watching it and he was laughing. He like, let him go. Let him go. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Let him go. Let's go. Let him go. Don't hold him. Let's go. That was getting me hyped up. Like, yeah, let him go. Let's roll. Let's
Uh,
go,
uh,
Mike. We going through everybody. Don't hold nobody back. Shoot. Ain't nobody
yeah,
afraid of him. He don't want this.
yeah. Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller did that to everybody. Though he irritated everybody.
Yeah. He
Ask
wasn't
Patrick Ewing.
he wasn't about to get the best of Mike. Mike was never gonna let Reggie Miller say I put you out. Never. Never. His whole career he had his thumb on Reggie Miller's neck. So, and Reggie Miller was a good player. He was, but Wasn't no mic. And Chicago Stadium was special because like the fans could get up close. And I remember I had went to a game one time, and it was my father. He used to get tickets to a lot of stuff, and he had got the tickets to the game. And I remember we had some close seats, and I had some tickets. It was me and my friend. This is like my freshman year in high school, and it was like it wasn't a Bulls game. It was like a basketball celebrity type fundraiser game, whatever. Operation Push with Jesse Jackson game. And they had all kind of people there. Scottie Pippen was there, all kind of stuff. Sean Kemp signed autographs and stuff. Was it Terry Cummins? But anyway, we snuck down to the courtside seats because it wasn't a Bulls game, so it had security, but it wasn't that tight. And I remember sitting there and touching the floor, and the floor was ice cold because they used to keep the ice underneath the floor for the hockey games. And a lot of
Yeah, the
people don't know
Blackhawks.
that. Yeah, the Blackhawks, that floor was like ice cold, and you could like see a little bit of like frost coming out from the edge or whatever under there. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, the Bulls and the Chicago Stadium, all of that, man, it was special. Man, what's tripped out is it was on the west side of town and it was in the hood. It was real bad neighborhood, ghetto. And as the Bulls continued to win, they slowly tore down all those houses, gentrification, moved all that stuff out, cleaned it all up, put expensive condos, and now that's an expensive neighborhood now. It's almost like being downtown because it was to the west of downtown, but it was nothing like being downtown. Now you wouldn't know that you was downtown or there. It was so built up, so nice, so gentrified, everything. It's amazing. And that's where everybody say the house that Mike built. He built that whole neighborhood, that whole economy was built up off of the Bulls winning and Jordan. And people wanting to live by the Bulls Stadium and be a part of it. It's crazy the effect. And a lot of people say, well, Jordan, he didn't do this or he didn't do that like LeBron do with the schools or whatever. Jordan and back in the day, everything wasn't public like it is now. My school actually received $1 million donation from Michael Jordan, and it helped build the football field and do some other things to keep the school running for a while. So, a lot of people, and that was an all black school. And so a lot of people, say this and that about Jordan. And I used to feel that way because, you don't know. But he does and he did do things for different communities and groups. So it just wasn't publicized and talked about like everybody put on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook today. So I don't know what you think about the Last Dance.
Well, that was a pretty good. Well, it was a pretty good documentary. It was interesting. There were some things I already knew. There were some things that I didn't know. And well, to piggyback your gentrification comment in that area, I definitely heard stories on how that area definitely got heavily gentrified. Excuse me, after the Bull success and also Oprah's success because her studio was about what about
Yeah,
15 minutes from
closer
the
than that.
United Center?
Closer than that. 5 minutes.
5 minutes, five
Yeah.
minutes from that arena.
Yeah.
My
It's just
mistake.
right around down and you turn and it's like a park down here and then it'll be up there. It don't take long. What take long is the traffic and the lights. So, yeah, all of that got built up. Yep. And Jordan used to have a restaurant not too far from around there too.
Yeah, I heard about the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah, a couple different restaurants. He had the Michael Jordan restaurant that was like downtown, which I used to go to and stuff. I never ate there. I used to just go there and hang out and look at all the memorabilia and everything, but I never ate there. He had like a soul food menu. I should have ate there though. I should have, but I didn't. And the one that was near the United Center, I never ate there either. But that was an upscale restaurant, It was called 160 Blue. I don't know if it's still there or not. Michael Jordan restaurant closed down probably a couple years after he stopped playing in Chicago. You know,
Yeah,
it used to have that big billboard of Jordan in the front of it.
yeah.
Big, yeah. Yeah, man. It was great living in Chicago during those times, and we just felt the sense of pride and stuff wherever. And then I used to travel and go places, and people would talk basketball, and I'd be like, "What? We got the Bulls. We got Jordan." And it would be like end the conversation. We knew we was gonna win. We were spoiled.
Y'all definitely was. But you know, there were some things with this documentary that I didn't know about. Like, well, okay, we know about all the stuff with Krause and the players and Phil Jackson, but I didn't know that, you know, well, I knew about Scotty's contract issue, but I didn't know how severe it became. You know, in the
I mean,
last few years with, while he was with the Bulls. And, in some ways, the documentary they try to kind of make Scotty look like the bad guy, which I think was undeserving because he definitely deserved an increase after all the things he had done for the Bulls. But I understood why he took the first deal because, he had to take care of his family, his father being disabled, his brother being disabled. But after, say, the third championship or that 93 and 94 season he had, the Bulls definitely should have renegotiated Scotty's contract.
they had a policy of not renegotiating. They didn't renegotiate Jordan's. So what they did is told him don't sign it in the first place. It's too long. And because Scotty had back problems, and during that time, surgery and treatments aren't where they are today. Larry Bird had to retire because of back problems. A bad back in the NBA was
Right,
like end of career. And so he was
right.
worried that
Same with Brad Daugherty.
exactly. So he was worried that was over. So he signed that 7-year contract thinking he saved his family from a life of poverty. What he didn't see coming, and really nobody kind of saw, is the NBA explosion because of Jordan, the effect, and that
Right,
the NBA TV revenue went up, and the salary cap went up, and the salaries went up, and now he's stuck in this little contract that looked good, a few years ago, but now it look horrible, you know,
right.
and now he want to cry about it, where in the end, what he could have done is he should have hired David Falk, Jordan's agent, and started marketing himself and his shoes and his products like Jordan. But he
Or
never did. He never did. He had little cheap commercials here or there or whatever, but he never marketed himself like Jordan. And he never made that off the court money.
true. Or I said this in a live stream after the first two parts aired. He could have negotiated like maybe a 2-year deal and then go back to the negotiation table when he had accomplished more. Because remember that first year the Bulls won it, he wasn't an all-star yet. Jordan was the only all-star.
No, he
Scotty
was an
didn't become an
all-star.
all-star to that next season.
No, he was an all-star in 91. His first year all-star was 1990, 91. He was an all-star.
Okay. But
But
yeah, I
but
think Scott. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
no, it's cool. I was just gonna say, even that, it take a little foresight, and so everybody may not have that. So I get what you're saying, but who knows? But like
Or
for example, Rodman, he came to Chicago and had all kind of deals, making all kind of money off the court.
right. Even
Scotty should have
bad
been
movies.
marketing himself. Right, right. He put on the wedding dress.
Yeah.
But but Scotty should have been marketing himself, and he could have owned Chicago right along with Jordan, but he didn't. He didn't market himself, and he didn't market himself to everybody else like he could have. And so it's sad to see. And
Yeah,
then people ripped him off and all kind of stuff.
right.
So,
Yeah, but I never figured that. I understood that. Like, Scotty is on one of the most rock star teams in the NBA at the time. It was like, how come he don't have at least? I know he wasn't gonna get all the endorsements, but at least enough endorsements like Michael Jordan.
yeah. I mean, he could have been doing Sprite,
Yeah,
something, Coke, something.
or
Michael
even your peppermint patty.
He could have been doing, Vicks with the big ass nose, Schnazzy. Schnazzy Pippen endorses Vicks. Smells good. If it gets this clean, it definitely worked for you. And I'm Scottie Pippen, and I approve this message.
And a lot of people actually would have probably brought a lot of Vicks if he would have been endorsing it back then.
Hey man, I got that pips. You got that pips. Oh man, that's it. Work, boy. Woo! I thought I was coming down with that Rona. I took a little pips, rubbed it right on, wiped it right out. Just like that. Pips.
Well, of course, the documentary also covered, the Bulls and the Bad Boys rivalry that, y'all had to battle with them for the last few years. And you told an interesting story, off the air about when you were in 7th grade and the Bulls finally broke through to the Pistons, and you had a teacher, what was it, 7th grade, that was a Pistons fan?
Oh yeah, he was hurt. He loved him some Isaiah, boy. Just keep him entertained with jokes. Talk about the NBA. He'd pass me in my class. But he was hurt when the Bulls won, and he was hurt because Isaiah's from Chicago. And he owned the Chicago area because he was the best player from Chicago, the most successful. And everybody was like Isaiah whenever the Pistons played. Everybody did that until Jordan came, and it was over. Who? Isaiah
Right.
who?
Where he came in and stole all Isaiah's thunder.
And even on
Now,
Vlad TV, John Sally said he came to Chicago and his nephews or whatever was wearing Jordans or Bulls jerseys or whatever. He like, what you doing? He like, I'm rolling with Mike. The Bulls. What you talking about? And he was hurt even more. Like, oh man, he done stole my family members' loyalty.
yeah,
And one thing I learned in that documentary is that rivalry really hurt Jordan deep. It really it pushed him, and he, probably glad he overcame it. But all of the stuff that they pushed him through really hurt him. Like he still is hurt about what they did. Jordan don't give up.
Like all the physical play.
Yeah. And the hacking and all of that, and the Jordan rules and doing what they did. He does not let go of nothing. He holds grudges for life.
Yeah, Jordan is petty as hell.
Very, very, but he uses it in a positive way. But just like I remember this game, and I was so surprised they put this in the documentary. I never would have thought he made that big of a deal. But it was they was talking about I think in episode 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, that LeBradford Smith for the Washington Bullets lit Jordan up one night for like 30 some points. Jordan.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And Jordan, that they had to play him the next day, and Jordan lit him up for the whole mount in the first half. And I remember Jordan saying that in the paper, like, I get what he had, because that was his career high. He like, I scored that in the first half. And we was like, whoa. And Jordan still remember that. He still Mike is not playing with nobody, man. For real. He is not playing. He remembers every little thing. He's not letting you get nothing.
Yeah, definitely. But now your teacher, was he from Detroit, or was he, from Chicago who just liked Isaiah?
He from Chicago. You know,
Okay,
Isaiah was the star of Chicago.
right.
And but then he went to Detroit. But even then, he was the son, Chicago favorite son. But that didn't last long because he only played like maybe 2 or 3 years before Jordan.
Right.
So he only had a 2 3 year run. It was over.
Yes, oh yeah, I could understand why Isaiah is still hurt to this day. I can't blame the man. I mean, come on.
And he
Not
got
only you steal
snubbed
my
on the
city
dream
from me,
team.
but you steal my family's loyalty too. Like, come on, man, enough. Damn.
Right.
Please let me have
And he
my
got snubbed on
family loyalty.
exactly. And he got snubbed on the dream team.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
And
always felt,
Isaiah heard about that.
yeah. Now I think Michael could at least. I'm not saying it was Michael's fault on that, but I think he definitely could have used his influence to get Isaiah on, because come on, what the hell was Christian Laettner doing on that team?
I remember that. I remember that when the dream team was being I remember all of that like it was yesterday. They said when they was putting it together that they're gonna keep one college player to as a throwback, from having the college to the pros.
Well,
So
at
no
least they could
matter
have
what,
asked Shaq.
that's the problem. They should have had Shaq. But Leitner had a better college career than Shaq. Shaq was a better player, but Leitner won the championships, better well known. He was white. They had all the black players, so they wanted to show at least some white boys can ball in the USA too.
so
Which is
so Laettner
another
was a
thing I
focus,
think,
huh?
right. And another thing I think helps Stockton is the same thing over Isaiah.
Yeah, but at least Stockton was good,
He was, but he wasn't a champion. Isaiah was a back-to-back champion that beat Bird and Magic.
right?
So Isaiah deserved it over Stockton. Stockton was a good player, but if it come down to it, Isaiah is better than Stockton every day of the week. You know,
You got a
and
point there.
yeah, they two great players. So I don't know. I'm getting notification. My battery is getting here, man.
Uh
Yeah, but I still got a couple more minutes.
oh. So okay, well, we got to talk about the championships. So you about what? About a good 13 when the Bulls won their first one.
Yeah, yeah, about that.
So what was that moment like for you? Seeing a team that you grew up finally getting over the hump. Because before, MJ, Chicago was a perennial loser. So
Right.
what was that
I
like
was
finally them to get over that hump over Magic and the Lakers?
I was kind of lucky because their first championship was in '91, and I didn't really become a hardcore NBA fan until 90, 89, 90 season, the year before, really. And I remember when we lost to Detroit and all of that, and upset and hurt. And then the next year we were champs. So my whole experience almost was champs. Now I knew about the Bulls. I knew about Jordan. I had Jordans and this and that, but I didn't really get into the NBA and follow it and watch how many points or watch the game. I didn't. I knew who the stars was or whatever, but I didn't really get into it. But 1990, I really started getting into it, and I started collecting cards too. And so then I started really getting into it because then I wanted the valuable players and this and that. And so then I knew who was really good then because they did this, that, or the other, or this card is worth this. And so, man, yeah, it seemed like they were my whole growing up champs, and I kind of took it for granted. And some of my friends, like even around by '97, we didn't even really watch the games. We'd be like, they gonna win, you know, and then by '98, we like, oh no, it's over. So yeah.
So did you think, did you really, well, going into that year, Krause announcing that Phil wasn't coming back as coach, did you really think it was going to be over after that 97-98 season? Or did you think everybody was going to come back to the table and work it out?
Nah, I thought it was over. Yeah, we thought it was over. It didn't seem like it was no, well, we worked it out. And then to have seen Jordan retire before, I know he may retire and then come back, but he will retire. So I'm like, oh no, don't retire. And what make it so bad, the Bulls would have won a seventh championship in '99. It was a shortened season. That would have been perfect for them. They didn't want to play that many games in the first damn place. Rodman and everybody. Short season. They already had the chemistry, what they was going to do. I mean, they would have beat New York, who ended up playing San Antonio. Wasn't it New York?
Yeah, New York did end up playing the Spurs in '99.
Wasn't they like an eighth seed or something with
Yep,
Spreewell and them?
The Knicks were eighth seed.
See, that's a joke. That's a joke. The Bulls would have won that. They would have won that, and that's why the Spurs beat me. They was an eighth seed.
But you gotta admit, the Spurs had a formidable front line with Duncan and Robinson. Now
They had them when Jordan was there in '98.
right?
Didn't do nothing.
They just couldn't get through Malone and them
See,
at that time.
they just got lucky because it was a strike shortened season too. Now Tim Duncan did get better, but Robinson got worse. So
Yeah, but Robinson was starting to enter the twilight of his career anyway.
that's what I'm saying. So Duncan getting better, but Robinson getting worse was like them being the same. They didn't really gain no ground. They didn't have Tony Parker and Ginobili then. We had Avery Johnson and man, the Bulls
Mario
would have
Elliott,
crushed these dudes, man.
Sean Elliott.
Man, the Bulls would have crushed them. So,
Spoken like a typical Bulls fan.
right,
Oh man.
right. I mean, the '96 Bulls team, no team ever would beat them. And you know what it is what doesn't show on paper. And watching this Last Dance, if people really pay attention, it shows how if you really work together with your group, whatever it is, whether you at Walmart, working at the movie, anything, the NBA, when everybody working together and clicking, man, some big things can happen and you could really be on it. And the Bulls, man, they were clicking. They really was working together. Like they really had teamwork. And so it's hard to beat that. The first Warriors championship team really had that, and so did they 73 win team.
Right.
They had that more than star power, really.
Right.
They got the star power with KD. But yeah, they were really clicking, but they needed that star at the end. That's why
Right.
they didn't beat LeBron. Jordan and them were clicking and had the star power. I mean, that's like unbeatable.
True.
And they all took defense serious. Like it wasn't like how it is today. Like if they really played, D took that personal.
Right.
You
Especially
know.
with all the scores in the NBA back then
Yeah.
compared to today. So
And they was grown men, whereas these guys is all under 25 in the NBA.
right.
You know, not to say 25 a baby, but these dudes was 30 years old in the NBA balling.
Yeah, that's because they played played more time in college than compared to now.
That's true. That's true. More
So
complete players coming into the league.
right. So okay, we gotta talk about Jerry Krause. What was your impression? What did you think about Jerry Krause before, at that time and after?
And man, it seemed like he wanted to get more credit than he deserved. At the end of the day, you could pick the players, but they got to do the job. And he wanted more credit for picking them than it deserved for them doing the job. And I think that's the problem. He got in his own way. Your credit was due for picking them, but that's where it ends. They do their job. You could pick the number one draft pick, and he could be a flop for whatever reason. Markel Fultz. You picked the right person. Everybody thought he should be number one, but he didn't do his job. So, he need to give credit more to the people doing their job than he thinking he did more than they did. You know.
Definitely, because as everybody know, Jerry Krause came from baseball as a scout. It seemed like he tried to apply that baseball mentality in the NBA, and it doesn't work like that. We were talking earlier how organizations can win championships because they have more time to develop players because they got the farm system. Whereas
Right.
in the NBA, at that time there was no G League, so in order to build a winning team, you had to have talent. And make sure you hit on that talent, and also you make sure you hit on free agency.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, the NBA is fewer players in the game, and they can make a bigger impact. And talent matters a whole lot more than in baseball. Not that you don't need talent, but you could get good players and put them together and win easier than if you just got a bunch of average players and put them together to win in the NBA. That ain't gonna happen. They may get so far, but in the end, it won't work. Good example, even is the Atlanta Hawks that year. They won 60 games with all those okay players. They made them four All Stars, or Kyle Korver and stuff. But in the end, when they went to the playoffs, they couldn't do nothing.
Right.
So it's all just a delusion, really.
Definitely. So y'all look. I know y'all Bulls fans look at Jerry Krause the same way Power fans look at Courtney Kipp.
The
He
villain.
broke. He broke up a dynasty.
I know, right? Yeah, that's true. He did. But you know what? Jerry Reinsdorf get to sit back and act like it was all Krause when he the one allowed it. He hired them, then I let him do that. Whereas
Right.
if I hired you and you pushing out Jordan, you fired. What the hell is wrong with you? Your one job is to keep him happy and you want him out. What is wrong with you?
He wanted Phil out too.
So he would have been gone, and I would have been easy to replace him than replace a Jordan and Phil. They still ain't did that.
Not at all. And that's another thing I would wonder watching this documentary. Why didn't Reinsdorf step in when things were just, you know, just going south? I know
Because
he wasn't that meddling owner, but even when you run any successful company, you fall back. But when you see things ain't going well and people are bringing these issues to your attention, any good owner and boss is going to step in to see what's going on, so the workplace and the working environment can be better.
That's true. He shouldn't have allowed it. He tried to sit back and say this or that, but at the end, it's his fault because the buck stopped with him. He paid the bills. He in charge of the franchise. You allowed it. So, he shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have, if you hired him to do a job and that's what he doing, he should have been fired. Plain and simple. So, Reinsdorf is just as guilty, and he shouldn't get to be able to sit there and act like it's all Kraus' fault. You ain't a meddling owner. You need to meddle if they about to push Michael Jordan out the door. Are you nuts? Like,
Right.
where did you go? Just sit there and let him just push out the greatest player to bring all the money to your franchise, bring all these championships, made your value of your team in the NBA much more than it originally was, and you okay with throwing all of these people out the door? And all they did was win 6 times. Like, that's crazy. So
Yeah, that's bizarre.
yeah,
Very bizarre. I couldn't. Yeah, I still can't understand why Ryan Storff didn't intervene more. And also, excuse me. Also, with the Bulls, as we all know, have a history of not paying players. You know, you wouldn't think with an organization with that kind of prestige would have those type of issues. You would think maybe they were overpaid for their players.
well, they didn't have that prestige at first, and Jordan brought it, and they didn't pay him. And I hate to say it, but it go from that old white man mentality of the owner and he the more important, just like Donald Sterling. And
Right.
they want to try to save as much as they can and get as much as they can and pay as little as possible under the name of business. And unfortunate, but that's what it is. And what can you do about it? I
That's
mean,
very
yeah, in the history of the NBA, the only minority owner is Michael Jordan. How is that possible when everybody on the court? That don't even look good to have all those white guys owning teams full of black dudes.
right.
And even actually in all the pro sports, baseball, basketball, football, and hockey, the only minority owner is Jordan, which is
Especially in the NFL where there's no black owners
now
whatsoever. And a
hockey
lot of
too.
old owners at that. A lot of these owners in these sports are old. NBA, NFL. I heard recently the average owner in the NFL is 60 years old.
Oh yeah,
Like with
and each,
your
yeah, and each company is privately owned. Each
right.
team, and all they do is leave it to their son or daughter or whatever.
Yeah, because Reinstoff is what if I'm not mistaken, he's in his 80s.
Probably. But he's not the full owner of the White Sox and the Bulls. It's a group that owns the team, and he's like been
The
elected.
control, like the controlling partner, like the
No,
man.
he's
What's the
been the
it's a
managing partner of the group.
managing partner? Thank
Yeah,
you. That's what I was looking
but
for.
yeah, I don't think he has the most shares. At least at one point he didn't. But I don't know what he got now. But yeah, he didn't. Man, the Bulls, man. I hated that so much when that happened. It was so sad. It's like really a sad time. The only thing that was cool is that everybody got a chance to finally go to the Bulls game because only people with money could go before because the tickets
Yeah,
were so high and sold out so fast. You was paying like $1,000 a ticket when
right.
Jordan was playing. Now people was giving the tickets away for free.
I wonder. I
Yeah,
wonder how much the nosebleed cost back then.
right. You know, yeah, people was paying at least a couple hundred for it. You in the
For a
building,
nosebleed,
Mike, just to be in the building with Mike. You was breathing the same air.
Man, wow. So, so what do you think has held the Bulls back from getting back to that contender status? I mean, the Bulls had their runs, the last few years with Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, and Jimmy Butler, which I was disappointed that the Bulls did not, retain Jimmy Butler. I thought they were going to keep him, but they just let him walk. So what do you
And
think?
that's all because of him, because of how they treated him. They had to trade him because he was going to end up walking. So they traded him to Minnesota, and we got Zach LaVine and what you call it. So we did get something back because Zach LaVine is pretty good. I know Minnesota wish they kept him, but the
Right,
reason what happened with Jimmy Butler is that he was up for the contract negotiation and he wanted to get the max 100 million, and the Bulls didn't want to give it to him. And he had averaged like 20 points or something the year before, and so he said, well, I'm gonna ball out this year, and then I'm gonna just sign a free agency. They're like, well, this is what Paxson and them said. We'll just have the coach sit you and lower your minutes, and you won't be as valuable as that. And
wow,
so I had the problem with the management with the Bulls and wasn't gonna resign because he's like, y'all dirty. And Thibodeau played him anyway, which is why they wanted to get rid of Thibodeau and did. And why Jimmy Butler and Coach Tom Thibodeau is so cool because he was like, the hell with them. I'm about to win. We playing you. We ain't got time for that. And so that's why Jimmy loved him, because he had played him anyway, and he was able to get his money, even though they both got traded.
wow. Yeah. So that's what led Thibodeau being let out the door in Chicago.
Yeah, you sound like a transformer. I'm getting technical difficulties. Let me see what my phone about to go down. It's at 1%, man.
Okay.
Let me see. I ain't got no way to charge it at the same time, man.
What'd you say?
I want to say before I cut out, man, I want to say it was a good last dance. I appreciate being on the show, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for joining me, bro.
No problem, man. You take it easy.
You too. We gotta do this again.
All right. Yep. You too, brother. Later.
All right. Thanks. All right. Thanks to Jay. More reviews for coming on here with me. He had to cut out due to his phone with his technical difficulties. But man, that was a great series recap. Jay, reliving some of his Bulls memories, walking down memory lane. But man, with this documentary, like I said before, some things I knew, some things I didn't know. Just like I didn't know that Reinsdorf offered Phil to come back for another year, but Phil turned it down because basically Phil felt, hey, damage was done. The damage was done. The relationship between him and Jerry Krause was very fractured because at one point, Phil and Jerry Krause were friends. But, after Krause started seeing Phil get more credit than him, that's when Krause became very resentful of Phil and he just hated him and wanted him out the door. Also, yes, Michael Jordan definitely was a great player. He's one of the GOATs. A lot of y'all like to say he's the GOAT, but there were some things Jordan did wrong too. And how the way he handled things, especially with his teammates. Sometimes he was a little rough on Scott Burrell. Now I gotta give Steve Kerr his props. I didn't know Steve Kerr went at Jordan like that by hitting him, elbowing him in his chest. So I got some newfound respect for Steve Kerr for doing that, for standing up to him. And I wish that the documentary made Scottie a little bit better and somewhat more sympathetic to the plight he was going through at the time. They could have definitely gave Scottie another deal, but the Bulls have had a history of not paying their players. You know, they did it with Jordan, and Jordan didn't really get his nice payday until the last couple of years with the Bulls. And you know, years later, they did it with Jimmy Butler. They didn't want him to, you know, they didn't want to give him a new deal that he deserved because that man was an all-star. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm a Cavs fan. You know, in that 2015 playoff series, man, Jimmy Butler gave my Cavs fits in that series, man. You know, he was one of the main reasons why that series was so close and that ended up going 6 games. He was definitely one of the main factors, you know, not only with his scoring, but his defense as well. And you would thought if the Bulls would have paid Jimmy Butler and at least kept most of those players together, the Bulls would probably still be contenders today. But went off on a little tangent. But, you know, Reinsdorf could have at least intervened more with all the issues that the team was having with players in the front office to see if they could come to some type of agreement to where they could have had a productive working relationship. Because like Jay said, the buck stops with him. You know, he's the owner of the team. He's paying all the bills. He should have, you know, definitely intervened, especially, you know, when you got you know, 2 players and a coach who won you championships, multiple championships within an 8-year period, and you're just going to let them walk. Jerry Krause should have walked before Michael, Scotty, and Phil. You know, and if you would have definitely sided with them instead of Krause, who knows what could have happened. Now, technically, maybe, I don't think they win in 99. You know, y'all check out my Bulls 8 chips in a row video. But that's just my opinion. But you know what? I'm about to get out of here, y'all. I thank y'all for joining me. Thanks to Jay Moore Reviews once again. I greatly appreciate him taking his time out to hang out here with me. And I've enjoyed all these live streams of The Last Dance. You know, I enjoyed the documentary. Matter of fact, there's some more documentaries I would like to see, like the Showtime Lakers, you know, Shaq and Kobe, or the 49ers of the 80s. You know, I always wonder what went on with that team. And if they got any footage that we never seen before, you know, during their Super Bowl runs, that would make a good documentary. That would definitely make a good 30 for 30, you know, about the 80s 49ers. So, you know, those are the the few documentaries that I thought about that I wouldn't mind seeing. But anyways, y'all, I got to get out of here. Thanks for joining me. You know, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Don't make your last. Subscribe. Click the notification bell. Click all so you don't miss any new videos from me. Also, like, comment, and share the video. I thank y'all for just coming on here, joining us. Till next time, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. QC out. All right.